A very good evening to you tuned into UBC TV. Welcome to News Tonight, this 11th of April, Thursday, 2024. It's me, Micheal, Jordan Lukomwa. Let's start with a look at the top stories before we go on. Auditor General's report on Lukomwa Hospital reflects 200 billion shillings financial loss. Coffee nursery operators to meet Museveni over 49 billion arrears. Lake Choga fishing community commends FPU for booming business. While Uganda Prison Circle records an increase in its total assets. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's News Tonight, and let's go direct to what we have for you this evening. Now, the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament has directed the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, to arrange a physical inspection tour for the committee to evaluate the progress of the Lukomwa Specialized Hospital project. Officials have appeared before the committee to address queries raised in the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2023-24, where the ministry was criticized for causing a financial loss of over 200 billion Uganda shillings by issuing a certificate of milestone completion. We have details from Parliament.
Officials from the Ministry of Health, led by the Permanent Secretary Dr. Diana Twine, appeared before the Public Accounts Committee of Parliament to address queries from the Auditor General's report for the financial year 2023-24. The report indicates that the ministry was allocated a total sum of 1.7 trillion shillings, but only spent 780 billion shillings. However, officials argue that their total budget, including donor funding, amounted to 3.8 trillion shillings. The query that sparked significant debate was regarding the owner's engineer issuing and signing the certificate of milestone completion for the Lukomwa Specialized Hospital project, prompting the Ministry of Finance to release 1.1 trillion shillings.
Also, your ministry kept on receiving money for supervision.
The Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Health, Dr. Diana Twine, informed the committee that apparently the project is being supervised by the Office of the Prime Minister.
At the Office of the Prime Minister. That's where the steering committee sits.
The project engineer for Lukomwa Specialized Hospital, George Otim, stated that they had only paid $129 million out of the full $379 million. He further explained that the certificate of completion was issued based on the project's performance budget.
This project performance budget, you have a schedule of activities constituting a milestone. For example, if the final design for the hospital is complete and submitted and is agreeable, there's an amount of money paid for it.
Members of Parliament demanded an explanation from him as to why he issued a certificate of completion when there was no work done. Consequently, the engineer issued a certificate based on the progressive report of the contractor. While the committee interrogated the engineer, member Nathan Nandala-Mafabi suggested that it would be important for all three parties, Finance, Accountant General and the Ministry of Health, to appear simultaneously.
So we are wondering, what is the basis of your payments, of your certificates, if you cannot access the site?
True that the certificates of completion you made, which warranted payments, were as a result of only getting reports from the contractor without your own inspection. Proof, if we had wanted to say, would have refused the approvals. First of all, said no, until you tell us where you have reached, you cannot go ahead. The Auditor General said he received the report. Even if you have been an accountant in audit, you can rely on the internal auditor report.
And it was clearly stated that there was an overpayment of close to 245 billion. And the reason for the overpayment was that you issued certificates, misleading certificates. So for me, Honorable Nandala-Mafabi, I don't see any reason as to why the engineer cannot respond to his activity.
According to the Auditor General, there was an overpayment of over 200 billion shillings, resulting in a financial loss. The engineer denied awareness of this, prompting the committee chair to swear him in.
There's no restricted access to site. I have not had restricted access.
No, answer what I'm saying. It's a yes or no. You are disputing.
I'm disputing. I have issued certificates for works that have been implemented. And when we walk to Blobowa, that is what I've issued the certificates for. I am not aware of overpayment.
If wasting time with you, put him on oath. I'm putting you on oath. I want every statement you say to be true. This one's got oath. Did the finance go to oath? Did the accountant general go to oath? Why should this one go to oath? So that's why we need all the three people here so that we can deal with it together.
I heard that he makes a statement with CID. Start now. Investigations continue.
Engineer George or team do solemnly swear that the evidence I shall give touching the matter before this committee shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
The engineer failed to convince the committee, and the chair ruled for him to go to the Criminal Investigation Department to make a statement, with investigations continuing. However, the decision was revised, and a physical inspection of the site to assess progress was scheduled for next Monday. I'm Nafka Farida and Gloria Gwetabinji in Kampala.
Still in Parliament, a section of members there are unsatisfied with the disparities in the figures Moving on, Minister Baryomunsi, that is the Minister for Information, ICT and National Guidance, Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, has revealed that government is determined to continue lowering down the cost of smartphones and the internet in order to deepen ICT penetration to the common person in Uganda. Baryomunsi says that gone are the days when the average cost of a smartphone was at least 1 million Uganda shillings, but reveals now it's possible to procure one at only 150,000 shillings. This was made during the launch of the blue chip technology operations in Uganda, and our reporter has it in detail.
Blue chip technologies officially opened in Uganda.
Baryomunsi says in a rapidly evolving world, government is determined to reduce the cost of smartphones to about 40,000 Uganda shillings in the foreseeable future in order to aid penetration of cutting-edge technologies. Baryomunsi says the arrival of blue chip technologies signals another milestone in Uganda's ICT journey.
As a ministry, as a country, we've been trying our level best to ensure that we create an environment, we create an ecosystem which is supportive and that promotes digital transformation. One of the areas we've been addressing is the question of infrastructure, digital infrastructure. And we've been laying the national backbone infrastructure, the optic fiber. Of course, we're appreciating that Uganda is a land-linked country.
As Uganda strides forward into the digital age, the promise of a connected and technologically empowered citizenry shines brighter than ever before. The co-founders of Blue Chip Technologies reveal that Blue Chip will play a crucial role in seamlessly integrating digital services in the banking sector, education, manufacturing, oil and gas, and many more life aspects.
Because all organizations, banks or non-banks, you need enablement. You need to be smart. And you derive your smart value when you are able to bring systems to talk to one another very seamlessly.
From a technology perspective, apparently it's the activities you find from an innovation standpoint in Uganda, they equal what we see in Nigeria, they equal what we see in Kenya. And that becomes, a very exciting place for us to be.
With Uganda's technology landscape being only 14%, contributing 9% to the country's GDP, Ugandans are urged to embrace technology usage since it's a building block for digital transformation in the country.
Now we talk of like blockchain technologies. So there are these cutting edge technologies that are a solution to most of the day-to-day challenges. And this kind of company comes with that expertise, that experience, that ability, and therefore they will add value to our journey of digital transformation.
Blue Chip, whose birth home is Nigeria, has worked with several organizations and countries since 2008, with Uganda now adding to the list. Marion Awori and Crispus Arinitwe for UBC.
UBC News Tonight. Devoted coffee farmers and nursery bed operators have camped at Entebbe in anticipation of their meeting with President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni. This follows delays of payment of their arrears amounting to 49 billion for over 2 financial years now. According to the Managing Director, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, Emmanuel Iyamulemye, the authority appreciates the patience exercised by these farmers given their indebtedness, but called upon Parliament to prioritize their areas.
A total number of 49 billion shillings arrears accumulated from the supply of coffee seedlings on credit to farmers by nursery bed operators through Uganda Coffee Development Authority. The arrears in question accumulated in the period within 2 financial years between 2021 to 2023. Under their umbrella body of devoted coffee farmers and nursery bed operators, farmers have over the time taken different initiatives to demand for their payment, including petitioning Parliament twice, engaging Ministry of Finance and Uganda Coffee Development Authority to no help.
Because we have moved from office to office, we came to Parliament. We met the Agriculture Committee of Parliament. We came to the Finance Minister, Mr. Kaseija, Matia Kaseija. We have met all the stakeholders in the country, but we are not seeing any reply.
We have cried on TV, we have done every step. Some of us have even died on the way. They want to meet the president, but we have never met them.
Last financial year, Parliament approved their payment, but the money has never been released by the Ministry of Finance.
According to us, there is a problem with the Ministry of Finance. It's as if they are annoyed of our money. We hear our money is there, but I think there's a way how they see they will not gain from our money. That's why they are not paying.
We as nursery operators, we are suffering a lot. Our children have not gone back to school. Some of our fellow operators have passed on. So we are here to demand for what we did. We are not demanding for free money. We demand for what we work.
Let us move to Entebbe and see His Excellency. So today we are bringing our cry, we are bringing our grievances to him, to his office, His Excellency. Here we are broken-hearted.
According to the Managing Director, Uganda Coffee Development Authority, Emmanuel, the authority appreciates the patience of the nursery operators and has also been trying hard to ensure that the areas in question are cleared given the indebtedness of these farmers.
We as UCDA, we acknowledge you that we have outstanding payments for you because you supplied, you have done the verification. We have also explained to you that government has put some money in the next budget. We also know that it is not enough. Our appeal to the nursery operators, you be patient. This money is going to be released.
He says that although the government has put in some money for payment this financial year, the money is not enough compared to the interest that has already over-accumulated. On this note, he called upon Parliament to prioritize these farmers to avoid suppressing the quality of seedlings in future.
My appeal to Parliament, prioritize the payment of these domestic areas because it's bringing a lot of stress to business. It's going to affect also so that farmers can have the planning material.
The 49 billion shillings amount accumulated from the supply of coffee seedlings by over 1,600 nursery bed operators across the country. Andrew Sebira compiled this report for UBC News.
We'll now take you back to Parliament, and there, a section of members are unsatisfied with the disparities in the figures of the budget estimates of the financial year 2024-25. As Parliament embraces a tight deadline for the budget cycle, some legislators are confused on the figures to proceed with. Currently, the ministerial policy statements, budget estimates, and the recent core agenda have different figures at a time described as the rush hour for the process of the budget. The Speaker of Parliament, Anita Mong, says that the Budget Committee will harmonize the concerns accordingly. How? All in this detail.
It is a rush hour for Parliament to process the resource envelope for the next financial year 2024-2025.
We are going to give each sectoral committee about 15 minutes.
Both the Speaker of Parliament, Anita Among, and Deputy Thomas Tayebwa actively presided the plenary session on Thursday to consider the various reports of the parliamentary committees on the ministerial policy statements and budget estimates for the financial year 2024-2025.
We have over 18 MPSs before us here.
The Kira Municipality MP, Ibrahim Semujunganda, backed by the Nyendo Mukungwe MP Matthias Mpuga, notified the House on the disparities in the figures being processed, which to their description confuses the order of the budget process. The MPs reveal that the figures provided in the ministerial policy statements do not tally with the recent estimates as presented by the Minister of Finance, Planning and Economic Development.
The draft estimates the Minister presented here give the total budget as 60.4 trillion. The same Minister, the Honorable Musasizi, while appearing before the Budget Committee, in his written statement, he said the budget is 58 trillion.
And of course, the appropriation bill, which is the third document. But a few days ago, the Minister of Finance outed a corrigenda which is cutting votes to vote 130, debt servicing. And that is disfiguring the entirety of the MPSs. And I think that's the basis for the Honorable Assembly asking that question.
The Minister of State for Finance, General Duties Henry Musasizi, accepted the blame, but explained how the disparities are strategies to facilitate the budget process.
I wish to allay the fears some of our colleagues have. The only problem is that we want to conclude from the beginning. We should work through the process, and then at the end of the day, we shall harmonize, as the Speaker said.
So you mean this morning we should be wasting time approving figures that are not there?
Indirectly, through Madam Speaker, the Minister is directly disempowering Parliament by not bringing all the documents at the same time. And this creates laziness, Madam Speaker, among the technical people.
Since all of you, the chairpersons of different committees, are members of the Budget Committee, you go and harmonize, reconcile, and then consider.
The Parliament session considered the reports of the ministerial policy statements from various committees, where the Parliamentary Committee on Foreign Affairs presented a deficit in the funding for post-NAM and G77 plus China summit activities. The report seeks 1 trillion shillings support for post-NAM activities and 2 trillion shillings for the post-G77 plus China activities. The session to consider the reports of the committees continue on Friday as deadline for the budget approvals nears. Daniel Mugoya, Gloria Gutabinji, UBC News.
In a bid to boost
UBC News tonight. In a bid to encourage and promote wealth creation, President Yoweri Museveni, through his office as the national chairman of the NRM, has distributed chicks and all required feeds to coordinators at his offices in Kyambogo. Hajat Namialo, the head and coordinator of the National Chairman's office in Kyambogo, emphasized the importance of leading by example in promoting wealth creation, particularly through poultry farming, echoing President Museveni's emphasis on commercial farming, poultry, and industrialization as pathways out of poverty.
wealth creation through commercial farming, poultry and industrialization have been strongly emphasized by President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni to uplift Ugandans from poverty. Through his office of the national chairman, President Museveni has extended support of chicks and feeds to the office of the national chairman coordinators to empower them. Hajat Hadija Namyalo, the head office of the national chairman in Kyambogo, said that for the coordinators to spread the message of wealth creation among Ugandans, they should be practical, exemplary to what they teach.
They have to be practical. Practical, I mean having something at the side they are doing that can generate income. So we decided to get chicks. We want them to, as they are doing their mobilization, as they are doing the chairman's work, they as well empower their families by themselves. You can't empower your family when you're not being practical, doing something that is practical.
Namyalo urged coordinators not to sell the chicks now, but rather use them to economically empower them and be an example to the community they live in.
Because this is not an easy task, I wish you well and I wish you luck, but be mindful that if you rear these chicks right, you're going to become rich. If you think that you're supposed to be given money while not doing a practical thing by yourself, that means you're going to become a failure.
Every coordinator has been given 120 chicks and feeds. Beneficiaries applauded President Museveni for the continuous effort to change the lives of Ugandans.
Ajat Adija Uzei for this initiative for self-empowerment of the staff. You know, you cannot go and preach about poverty when you yourself you are very poor. This is a very good initiative. We would love to Ajat Adija to send our appreciation to the president
for having brought in this very beautiful opportunity for us. As the staff of ONC, we are very, very happy. We know this is going to add on to a lot of value addition into the little income we are getting from this office.
nabo baso kusibika inkoko ngenge tujya kusibika kandi ngire muzeyi president akikana naterera abantu nuko sobore ko yamu bunako habo kubatso kugenda kwegisa abantu ko mu community n'ekitwe kwatiremo
Sudat Kaye.
State Minister for Gender, Labour and Social Development in charge of Youth and Children Affairs, Balaam Barugahara, has cautioned the beneficiaries of the World Bank-led GROW project to desist from mismanaging the funds, but rather use it to enrich their enterprises. Balaam has been attending a one-day workshop at the GROW beneficiaries in Masindi district.
Women entrepreneurs across Bunyoro sub-region have convened in Masindi district for a one-day workshop. These are mainly beneficiaries of the Generating Growth Opportunities and Productivity for Women Enterprises Project GROW. The World Bank-sponsored project aims at transitioning women enterprises by providing capital as well as offering capacity building sessions to small-scale entrepreneurs.
You have saved your money now. Or is it as a opinion? Not until after 2 years. Now that GROW has come, TDA
The Minister of Gender, Labour and Social Development at this workshop has been represented by the State Minister in charge of Youth and Children Affairs, Balaam Barugahara.
Different capacity. Many times we are unable to subsidize and pay our constituencies on some important projects because we don't have the relevant information. I therefore hope that this engagement today will continue equipping you with necessary information about GROW projects.
Minister Balaam stresses the need for women to embrace this initiative.
Convey the gratitude of Government of Uganda to World Bank for $217 million, which is an equivalent of 800 billion Uganda shilling towards the GROW project implementation.
According to Minister Balam, a grant of over 800 billion Uganda shillings has so far been invested in the GROW project by the World Bank, thus urging the beneficiaries to put the resources to good use.
Government aims at addressing the shortage of critical care service providers in both public and private health facilities by prioritizing skills development. This initiative seeks to counter the trend of skilled workers migrating from the private sector to government facilities, driven by recent salary enhancements. While speaking at the 7th Private Sector Convention, Dr. Tom Aliti Chandia, the Commissioner in charge of Health Sector Partners and Multi-Sectoral Coordination at the Ministry of Health, underscored the importance of public-private partnerships in the health sector.
In salary, last year witnessed a significant increase in salaries for medical workers following a collective bargaining agreement with the government, nearly tripling their earnings. However, this boost has inadvertently led many professionals to favor public health centers over private facilities due to salary disparities.
We have had complaints from many private health facilities that whenever there is an advert by government, there's a high attrition rate in their facilities because they find that most of their experienced critical staff tend to leave and join the government service.
During this year's private sector convention organized by the Uganda Health Federation, stakeholders emphasized the need for strategies to retain health professionals across various health facilities, especially in the private and the not-for-profit facilities.
So we see that, our attrition is about 1%, but we just have to keep doing more and doing better to make sure that we can stay competitive and not lose most of our staff to the government sector.
It's an uphill battle to compete with a 300% increment. So we needed to lobby and come together with the government to try and find an equalizer.
The Executive Director of Uganda Health Federation, Dr. Grace Chiwanuka, highlighted the detrimental impact of excessive taxation on private facilities, hampering their ability to adapt to sectoral changes.
We need to look at the tax regime because it's very limiting in the sense that because it's a percentage of the gross, pay as you earn, NSSF, all of those taxes and levies and statutory deductions, 40% of what I pay. So if I'm to pay, for example, 1 million shillings, 400,000 goes straight back to government. So the person really ends up with 600,000. So regardless, so it means I'd have to pay the person a multiple, maybe 3 million shillings to make sure that they're getting the take home that would be desirable for them. And that is where the challenge comes from.
Government, through a public-private partnership, seconds medical professionals, including consultants and experts, to offer services across different privately run health facilities who are paid by the taxpayers' money. The Commissioner in charge of multi-sectoral coordination at the Ministry of Health, Dr. Aliti Chandia, advocates for expanding this arrangement and introducing a skills enhancement scheme for health workers in the private sector.
We second more staff to the private health facilities. And another alternative is to ensure that we train. We have funding to train either medical officers, special grade, or consultants, or senior consultants in some specialization, so that we have a critical mass of specialized healthcare providers at the private sector level.
These efforts are crucial as reports indicate dwindling health financing due to reduced donor support. Dorcas Kimono, UBC News.
Freddy! Fred, don't Uganda, my boss, CEO Inojo, the general of generals, the conqueror of conquerors, the first and the final, the sky above the skies, the promised land, the terms and the conditions, the international king crocodile, the source of the Nile.
I don't have money today.
Just take a polite loan of 200k to stock my shop. The signs and symptoms of success. The bank commander, not the bank teller.
Why hassle for a loan when you've got MTN Momo? We're sorting. Use the Momo app or dial *165*5# for all quick loans. Choose from the different loan options from our partners and get one that works for you. Together, we're unstoppable.
Once upon a time, there lived identical twins who gave birth to beautiful princes and princesses.
Their mothers gave their babies' bodies a lot of care by applying on their skin with Baby Junior jelly.
Though dried their chariots and everyone would admire their glowing skin. Fun fact, Baby Junior prevents diaper rash, dry and sensitive skin.
Moms all over Africa love Baby Junior jelly. Baby Junior's the skin. No more worries anymore. Boo, 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 boo. Baby Junior.
Baby Junior.
UBC News tonight, we're going to have a brief discussion, a brief chat about something very historical in Uganda. Today, 11th of April, 1979, that is 45 years today, is the day when the government of former President Idi Amin Dada was overthrown. We want to get some practical information, real information of what the day was like in Uganda, and we will end with a look of its results. My guest was here and he saw it. His name is Professor Tarsis Kawejere, a senior leader in this country. Professor, good evening.
Good evening.
How are you doing?
Very fine, very fine.
That is so nice.
Very good.
Where were you on the 11th, briefly, 11th of April, 1979?
I was in Nairobi.
Okay.
You know, after the meeting in Moshi,
okay,
which was in March, I think 21st to 23rd of March, after forming the UNLF, the process of taking over, as Marimu had now, quote unquote, got the okay from Ugandans, moved on, and we scattered, those of us who were able to go back where we were coming from. So I went back to Nairobi, but kept monitoring on a daily basis what was going on.
So you had a role in this?
Well, it's not easy to talk about oneself, but certainly I had the opportunity to be the chief convener of the Moshi conference.
Okay.
I signed letters inviting, we had formed a committee, a credentials committee, to go through who would enter the meeting, because so many people formed groups to come in, to come to this meeting. You see what happened after Amin attacked Kajera. Marimu decided, thank God, and we must really be thankful to God for Marimu's existence, decided to attack. Now, that meant, quote unquote, an invasion. And if you are invading a neighboring country, or indeed any country, it is against international law.
Definitely.
So what he did was to call on us, those of us who were already organized, to come to Moshi and form, quote unquote, a government in exile. That's what UNLF was about, Uganda National Liberation Front. That front was to legitimize the entering of Uganda by Tanzanian forces to remove Amin.
Okay.
And we did that.
So there were Tanzanian forces at the back with you Ugandans at the front?
Yes, and there were, of course, Ugandan forces like Fronasa, Yoweri Museveni, like Save Uganda Movement, ourselves, with Akena Pojok as our leader, and so on. So the we came in time, so that the process of removing Amin is enhanced, but enhanced with the support of Ugandans.
You talked of a process.
Yes.
We see the NRA taking 5 years in Luwero.
Yes.
1980, 81, 86. How long did it take to have the Idi Amin government overthrown?
Oh, it took a long time. It took a long time because, as you may have known, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni's effort started almost immediately after Amin took over. So they even came in 72, August. They tried to come in here. So it was a long process because, in fact, let's remember Bishop Ochevenjere, who said when he was praying for us as we opened the meeting, that he prayed to God that Amin makes a mistake. And the mistake he made was to attack Tanzania.
Okay.
So that it justified the invasion, the coming in. The Ugandans who are doing it were doing it quietly.
But now his mistake gave them a platform.
A platform.
I want to know this final evasion with that had the involvement of President Nyerere and you people that had the Ugandan front,
yes,
and things like that.
Yes.
How long did it take? Were they days, months?
Well,
that final attack that overthrew the government.
Yeah, if you take the time when Amin attacked Kajera, and the time we formed the UNLF, and the time it took to take over Kampala, it's not very much. It's not very much. But that was the culmination. Because even the attack of Kajera by Amin was in a way in response to a pressure that was building up. Because inside here, there were efforts being made.
Okay.
Okay. And so when he made that mistake, it helps us with Mwalimu Nyerere, a Pan-Africanist, an East African, and a visionary, to come in and help us remove the dictator.
So what made it easy was the spark of the mistake that he made to attack Kajera.
Yes, yes.
But overthrowing a government is not a joke.
No, it wasn't.
What were the stumbling blocks in all the efforts that you took in overthrowing?
Of course, organizing the forces, right? Organizing the forces that created the momentum. Okay? Fronasa was very active, very active, well known, they were known. Yeah? And this time, when the Tanzanian army came in, there was a division of labor where we able to know where to go and how to help them move. So the force now picked momentum.
Okay, but what I want to know, were there any strengths? Because overthrowing a government is not a simple thing. Were there any strengths on his side and his government?
Oh yes, oh yes. Oh, yes.
What are those things that stood in your way somehow?
He had the whole army. Okay, he had the whole army, Ugandan army. Second, he was brutal. Anybody who raised the head was cut off. You know, the bishop, as you know, so many of them, people who were killed. You know, before I left here in '73, we would go to Namamve to check in the bushes where the bodies had been thrown there, with the people killed. People dropped in the Lake Victoria, you know, and so on. So people were frightened. You couldn't say anything. You know, that's why I left Makerere. There's no way I could teach, because you were not sure whether in the class you didn't have somebody who could report to you. You know, so there was terror.
Okay.
Universal terror in the whole country, and you know, Karimuzo gets killed, a man at Makerere, and so on. So you and the bishop is killed. So you couldn't really. So it was organizing strength to overcome a monster.
Okay, as we wind up, Professor.
Yes.
as a country that has grown through such history,
yes,
what kind of lessons do we take?
First of all, before we go into that one,
okay,
this Ugandans listening, watching, please have space in your psyche, the place for Mwalimu Nyerere.
Okay.
That Pan-Africanist, that brave man, that was able to keep us there. Museveni, and all these, you know, all of us, and be able to take action, you know, in addition to what he did for the liberation of Mozambique and Angola and so on. So we must really have
honor that man.
Honor that man. And that's why we are talking of supporting the creation, the building of the World Leadership Institute. And Yoweri Kaguta Museveni has been very, very supportive of the Mwalimu Nyerere Foundation, where I am being a member on the board. I'm still a member. So that we must do. Now, Ugandans must know that what we went through, that period from 1962 to 1979, that period, and then from 79 to 86, if you put it all together, the first half, almost the first half of our independence was messy. Okay? Now, Ugandans, if you don't know, try and read as much as you can read about what happened. What happened since independence, with the Kabaka being overthrown, with all this, with Amin taking over, and then Ruto taking over, Obote being overthrown twice by his commanders, you know, all that. We must make sure that that kind of situation never resurfaces. Second, we must make sure that we are an East African, we are African. You know, we must build a strength. Tanzania used the strength which we didn't have, we as Ugandans in exile, to come together and remove Amin. If we are trying now to do something in Congo, you know, we are trying to do things in Sudan. You know, Sudan is in problem, bigger Sudan. We need really to get that momentum. Every Ugandan, every young person. We were young. I was under 40 by the time we came here.
We are winding up, Professor.
Yes, we are
and this is my
winding up.
very last one.
Yes.
An ordinary Ugandan like myself
yes,
really may... Does he have a way of contributing to the mess, or it is you leaders that really have to take lessons?
Well, you see, stopping a mess,
yes,
Ugandans must make sure that the leaders, the so-called leaders they pick those who cannot mess up.
Okay.
Who cannot mess up the peace of our country.
Okay.
We have now learned what it means to have these years.
But Ugandans are
the first years, 62 to 86. Count how many years they are. Look at what happened. How many presidents did you have? Obote, Kabaka, Amin. I didn't mention our hours of UNLF, Rere, Benaisa, military commission, and so on. And then Obote again. And then all that is a manifestation of chaos.
Okay.
Now we have had this continuity. We must build a strength such that future generations do not go through that trauma.
Thank you so much, Professor.
Okay.
We are very grateful.
And we thank God 45 years. Let's see what the next 45 years look like.
Okay.
With all ourselves being involved in building peace, unity, stability, and nationalism and Pan-Africanism.
His name is Professor Tarsis Kawejere, former minister and senior leader in this country. We thank you so much for watching. Let's get back with more stories. UBC News Tonight.
The government of Uganda and the Uganda Bureau of Statistics is calling upon all stakeholders such as the chief administrative officers, city mayors, resident city commissioners, city clerks, city and division councillors, wards and LC chairpersons, as well as the residents and business communities to cooperate with the UBOS field teams as we embark on advanced preparations to conduct the National Population and Housing Census on the 10th of May 2024. The census will be a 10-day exercise to obtain statistical data and information that will be used for planning and policy formulation, including information on 1. How many we are, 2. Where we are, 3. How we are living, 4. What we own, and 5. Where we access services from. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics has now started listing of households and mapping in the 11 cities of Arua, Fort Portal, Gulu, Hoima, Jinja, Lira, Mbale, Masaka, Mbarara, Soroti, and in the Greater Kampala comprising of Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono districts. For more information, please call 0755 342 128 or 0773 342 128. This message is brought to you by the Executive Director and Census Commissioner, Uganda Bureau of Statistics. Census 2024. It matters to be counted.
News Tonight, thank you so much for watching. The Private Sector Foundation, working with Uganda Professional Drivers Network and partners, have launched a road safety campaign to counter reckless usage of roads. The project is dubbed Tofira Kukubo, intending to enhance awareness on the proper use of roads to minimize death.
The youth-led campaign, Tofira Kukubo, targets youthful drivers to appreciate the set traffic regulations. The main target group is that of the Boda community.
We know that the youth have what we call the road user syndrome. They enjoy speeding, use of alcohol, use of drugs, but also fatigue comes up and holds them. So this project is about awareness. We want to reach out to the young people with messages.
As a driver, you have a role to play. As a passenger, you have a role to play. Do not accept to cross the light because you have to catch a meeting. Do not accept to jump onto that ride without a helmet.
The 12-month campaign will involve motorists' sensitization on policy issues and on how to acquire services concerning traffic.
It will be carried out by having people engaged, knowing the dangers that are on the road. Everyone must be careful. Instilling discipline. We have interreligious council that is going to help us reach out in churches, mosques, and everywhere. We must teach people the discipline on the roads and the dangers that are in.
Stakeholders in the transport sector want government to implement the idea of having military officers on all established traffic checkpoints. These military officers are expected to check the indiscipline of drivers.
One of the recommendations has been that there should be military traffic on the roads, so that they can handle the red number plates and also the security agencies.
Despite efforts to reinforce traffic regulations, motorists are challenged with unnecessary disruption from those purporting to have right of way over others.
They don't know who has right of way because we found ourselves seeing people coming out from those vehicles with guns and chasing our motorists away from the road. Government should come up clearly to tell us who has right of way and what is the identifier.
The infrastructure situation is another worrying issue affecting road usage in Uganda. Transport stakeholders are seeking for government intervention towards transport infrastructural development.
Our infrastructure development has stagnated for the last 60 years. All the designs are 1960 to 50. So the modern vehicles are too fast for these roads. So it ends up creating speeding. There is what we call a conflict between the vehicular traffic and the road infrastructure design.
The program of Tafira Kukubo is set to run for 12 months, focusing on sensitizing motorists on how to improvise and live by the situation of the current state of the infrastructure without causing more accidents. Komagum Rogers and Abdul Nasir Lukomwa for UBC.
The commander, UPDF Fisheries Protection Unit, Lieutenant Colonel Masi Tukahirwa, has carried out an operation on Lake Choga to assess the compliance of fishing communities there to the state regulations and guidelines against illegal fishing. The commander conducted sensitization meetings on landing sites as well as destroying confiscated illegal fishing gear.
The operation on Lake Choga landing sites was prompted by conflicts between the fishing community and the enforcement teams of the Fisheries Protection Unit of the UPDF.
Now your commanders are so serious in such a way that they don't want you to see the people catching a mukene?
Yes, because we have instructions.
They're not legalized yet. And we also have our request place.
At Namasali landing site in Amorata district, a skirmish resulted into the loss of a firearm, leading to the closure of the landing site.
The issue of the gun. I want to talk about the issue of the gun. One, these are local people. They are acrobats who are being trained how to use the leg. Government should plan in a way of removing that gun. Bringing the acrobats. There are people with the legal gears here. The landing site is closed. The landing site is closed, but there are those who have already paid lances and they're supposed to use the lake with legal boats. Where are they stopping them from using that place? You see how many ways trained to lose a gun in the water. Now you're blaming us, you are going to close here 6 months. I know you're going to close, I know, I see your heart now. And I know you're going to punish my people. If you're punishing us, you know that you are sure it's also there. The army was trained. Maybe it is enough. People you do what you Johnny it's now in your hand.
The unity commander convened a community meeting including local leaders to resolve the ongoing resistance among the fishing community.
Why are you fighting soldiers? You have license. We are here to work with you. We are here to protect you. I want to hear from you.
The tour of these landing sites provided an opportunity for the fishing community to voice their concerns on regulation of fishing activities.
We are requesting that you commanders should also give our people some space.
Which space?
One, they are now operating in the lake. Following our people have to unlock, even in the bedroom. At night. So if we find that you have done an offense in the fishing waters, we have the right to follow you outside the fishing waters and bring you back to face justice. It's the law. It is the law.
Lieutenant Colonel Masi Tukahirwa conducted night patrols in response to theft complaints from fishermen and arrested some culprits. The community engagement efforts of the Fisheries Protection Unit have addressed some grievances within the community.
Abamu tebagala kwatagana n'abakulembeze ba bukiiko ngaffe bwe batuukaawo balowooza baamala omuntu omukubira akasimu omubulire ku muntu gwakutte ebintu ebimukwatako details ze kubanga gooba nazo takkiriza takuwa budde.
Despite complaints about the strictness of the Fisheries Protection Unit, the fishing community says these operations have improved the fish catch.
Wali mu nvuba gitwatuvuba embi twatuvuba ennyanja kutomu kutuufu naye saawa n'ebyennyanja tuli kuvuba ebyennyanja inchizi 11 kutandika inchizi 7 mpaka inchizi 11 enkyukakyuka gye mbadde nfunyemu.
Enforcement teams of the Fisheries Protection Unit face some challenges from political interference.
Because the politicians have always been provoking these people. Because they want votes, telling them, but these politicians, when they live here, they have their homes in Kampala. They have their homes in Lira. But for them, they're here suffering.
There is a commitment to enhance community sensitization efforts to promote legal and sustainable fishing activities and to protect Ugandan waters. Abdul Nasir Lukomwa for UBC.
First General Secretary for the National Council of Sports, David Katende, representing Minister of Sports, Peter Ogwang, has urged the youth to actively participate in sports activities as a means to reduce the rate of crime in their communities. He made the remarks at Luzira Youth Tournament finals between Butabika 2 FC and Stage 7, which ended with a score of 1-0, as we see in this report.
According to the tournament director Diana Kateba, who is also the president of Rotary Club Luzira, the tournament is aimed to promote talent among the youths.
Here we chose to focus on how we can engage the boy child and empower them. I think this tournament is a very good initiative because it empowers the youth, it keeps them engaged, and it also showcases the talent that we have among the youth in Luzira.
Our managers and the organizers of this tournament for the hand they have helped us to organize this tournament and in order to showcase our talent so that we can gain in our football career.
As a government, as part of government, for us sport is for the youth. To encourage as many of our people to engage the youth in a number of sports activities. The more you engage them in these activities, the healthier they become, the more productive they become, the lesser the criminal rate in the community.
The tournament sponsor and aspiring councillor LC3 Luzira, Ronald Olero, emphasized the significance of sports in combating criminal activities within society.
I've witnessed to see the Minister of Education is in the field, the councillors, the area MP, and everybody around, even the community. They have gathered and they are taking back a good message for the youth, especially in terms of security, in terms of education, and in terms of even health. We have just witnessed was the vaccination work is going on, but today we are here as a community to say that soccer is the best way to communicate to the young people.
Various politicians in attendance echoed the sentiment that engaging youth in sports activities would not only keep them occupied, but also contributes to reducing crime behavior in society.
Such tournaments are very good for us who are trying to help the people. They help us to put youth together. They help us to help the youth to polish their talents and to not be distracted by other things that distract the youth. So it is a great pleasure for me to be here.
To assure the youth that starting from tomorrow, we are going to organize the 4th edition tournament.
Deborah Namamonde, Kayumba Stephen, UBC News.
Thank you so much for watching. That is all we had for you at this point. I'll be here with another arrangement at 10 p.m. Please do not miss. My name is Micheal Lukomwa. I'll leave you with the weather forecast report here. Thank you so much for watching. Catch you at 10.
Brought to you by Uganda. It's a pleasure having you join me today in this weather update brought to you by Uganda National Meteorological Authority together with UBC. There is still a continuation of wet weather activities across most parts of the country due to the rain-bearing clouds that are now concentrating in Central Africa, including our country, Uganda. Tomorrow morning, we are forecasting light rains in Kampala, as for Nakasongola and Mubende, we shall have cloudy conditions. For the western parts of the country, we shall have a mixture of clouds and sunny intervals. For the eastern parts of the country in Jinja and Tororo, we are forecasting light rains. As for Soroti, we shall have sunny intervals. For the northern parts of the country, we shall have light rains in Kotido and in Moroto. Elsewhere, that includes Gulu and Lira, we shall have sunny intervals. During the course of the afternoon, we shall have temperatures going up to 27 degrees Celsius in Kampala, and in Masaka. As for Nakasongola, we are forecasting light rains, temperatures going up to 28 degrees Celsius. For the western parts of the country, we are forecasting 29 degrees Celsius in Kasese with light rains. As for Mbarara, we are forecasting 27 degrees Celsius. For Kabale Highlands, temperatures will go up to 23 degrees Celsius. For eastern parts of the country, we shall see rains developing in Soroti, temperatures going up to 29 degrees Celsius, as well as in Jinja and in Tororo. For the northern parts of the country, we shall see rains developing across the northern region. Temperatures will be in high 20s. For international weather forecast, we shall have bright and sunny conditions in Cairo, temperatures going up to 29 degrees Celsius, light rains in Nairobi at 28 degrees Celsius. It will be cloudy in London, and in Dubai, temperatures going up to 20 degrees Celsius in London and 32 degrees Celsius in Dubai. That nicely concludes our weather forecast today. Till tomorrow, have a good night.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Qualified, professional, and compassionate doctors talking real solutions to real health problems.
So good evening, dear viewers. You're welcome to the Doc Talk Show. We are pleased to be here today as we talk about diseases, ailments, and today our focus is on the spine. We thank our partners, the Ministry of Health and partners that have enabled this show to be aired on the TV today. And today here with me, I have the head of the spine unit of Mulago Hospital, Dr. Chironde Edward. Dr. Chironde, you're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Can you briefly talk about yourself?
Right. Good evening, viewers. I am Dr. Edward Chironde, a spine surgeon and an orthopedic surgeon at Mulago National Referral Hospital, where I head the spine unit in the Department of Orthopedics. Yes. I'm happy to be here for the Doc Show. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much, Dr. Edward. It's a pleasure for us to have you because